Hey Nathaniel!
Yeah?
Did you see that new app on the iPhone? Oh. Hello. Welcome to Crosspoint Community Church. I'm Robert.
Oh, and I'm Nathaniel. And I'm Brandon. And here's what you need to know this week.
If you're a first-time guest here at Crosspoint, and you're wondering what we're all about, our mission here is to simply Yeah? Yes. I know. KJ. Yes, to lead people to be passionate followers of Christ. I know that. Alright. Bye. Our mission here is simply this. We want to lead people to be passionate followers of Christ. This is what we do here at Crosspoint.
If you're wondering what those boxes were when you walked in, over there or over there, that's Tom. Stands for tithes, offerings, and missions, and this is how we take offering here at Crosspoint. Hey guys, Schulte just sent me an email about kids stuff. Come here, look at this.
To be part of the wave, can't stop. Ever wonder if it's all for you? The world I love, the trains I hop to be part of the wave, can't stop. Come and tell me when it's time to.
Students, grades 6 through 12, tonight is student takeover, starting at 6 o'clock. So come on out, we're going to have some games, some pizza, basically just hang out for a little while, then we'll be going into our small groups. We'll be continuing our series called Babel, which is basically talking about how technology affects our lives and how it affects it with the Bible. Dude, for real, get off your daggone phone. Read the Bible for once in your life.
I got an app for that.
Whatever.
Today we start a 3-part series called Flickering Pixels. Throughout the series we're going to be looking at technology and how it shapes our lives. Today we start with part 1, the trade.
So this is my first ever experience with Facebook. It was my junior year of college, and me and one of my apartment mates were walking back to our apartment on campus, and as we're going through the front door, I was like, hey, what do you want to do? And I thought we usually watch movies or play video games or something like that, and he goes, oh, I'm going to go get on Facebook. And I had to ask that question that we've all eventually asked, what's Facebook? And he explained it to me. He goes, it's this thing online, and you create a profile, and you add friends, and you can view different things that are going on. And he said, but it's mostly you share your status updates of what's going on. And I looked at him and I went, why would anyone care what's going on with my life? And he goes, I don't know. But they do, because there's tons of people on it. And so I got on, I created my Facebook profile, and it was at that point in time where to create a Facebook profile, you had to have a .edu address. Did anyone create their Facebook profile when you still had to have a .edu? Yes, thank you. There are a few of us. No offense to the rest of you who are older than that, but it was much cooler back then. Because it was like, it was like, yeah, it's only for students. It's so cool. And then like 6 months later, they said, it's open to everybody. And then your mom was on it. And it was like, less cool. But when he first shared that with me, I thought, oh, that's really strange. And I started watching things. I was like, people are just posting everything that's going on. It was like, people used to like be worried about that. Like they didn't want other people to know what was going on. We called them stalkers, and we got things called restraining orders on people who do that. And like when my family left on vacation, we went to great lengths to make sure no one knew we were on vacation. Like we canceled our newspapers, and we canceled our mail, and we set all the lights in our house on timers. So at 6 o'clock, all the lights would go on, and at 11 o'clock, all the lights would go off, so people would think that we're home. And now we go on vacation, and we put in all caps, Florida bound, see you in a week. And then we post updates along the way so that burglars know that we're not home. It's like, on the beach, be home in 3 days. And then like just to make sure that there's no chance that the burglars know that we're home, like on our way home, stuck in traffic, won't be home till 11. It's like, just so everybody knows. And then the other funny thing to me is like parents at the beginning, and I don't know if parents are still this. Parents, you can give me a nod of the head if you still are with your kids. Like when those first came out, parents were really, really concerned what information their kids were putting on. Parents, are we still concerned, or do we not really? Okay, there we go. We got some nods of the heads. Like my little sister Megan, she had a MySpace, which was Facebook before Facebook, and then it got dumb. And so she had a MySpace, and my mom was always on her about putting too much information on her MySpace account. And so my mom would get on, and it was like every day at dinner we'd have that conversation. It was, Megan, you have got this. It's too much. You've got to take it off. And Megan's, Mom, no one cares. No one checks it. It's not a big deal. And my mom would like put the scare tactics in her, like there are child predators and there are all these other people, and you've got to be careful what you put on there. And then one day my mom was at work, and she got a phone call from Channel 12. And it was a reporter for Channel 12, and she said, hey, is this Margie Jack? And my mom said, yeah. And she goes, who is this? And the reporter said, hey, I'm so-and-so from Channel 12, and we're doing a story on kids putting too much information on their Facebook and MySpace accounts. And she said, we got on your daughter's account, and within 30 seconds, we were able to get her home address, your work phone number, and we called the school and got her class schedule. And my mom said, I'm going to murder her. And then the reporter said, we'd like to do a story on your daughter. And said, what we'd like to do is follow her home from school, and basically we're going to ambush her and show her how scary this is. And they're like, is that okay? And it was funny because they went to like great lengths, like, do you need to sign a waiver and making sure my mom's okay with this? And I was like, please do. Even if you don't show it on the news, do it anyway. Like, scare the heck out of her. Like, that's what I want. And so it got on the news. And if you watch the news, my little sister, she drives in our driveway and she parks her car. And she gets out of her car, and then all of a sudden, a reporter and 3 camera people come running up to her, and she goes, hi, are you Megan Jack? Yeah, I am. She goes, I'm so-and-so from Channel 12, and we did this, and we found all this. How do you feel about that? And my little sister, her eyes just started to water up. And I felt so bad, but I was like, oh, that's so good. And she's like, I didn't know. I was like, Megan, I'm so sorry. And then later on, they interviewed my parents. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about today at this point in time. But I want to share this because this cracks me up. They interviewed my parents, and you have to understand something about my dad. Most people slightly exaggerate their stories. Like if you say you had a fishing story and you caught a fish this big, you would say I caught a fish this big. Like if you were speeding and you want everybody to know how fast you were going. If you were going 70, you were going, I was going so fast I was going 75. Like we just have a tendency to exaggerate a little bit. My dad either tells something like completely literal, like he tells you the exact size of the fish, or it's hyperbole. It's absolute extreme exaggeration. Okay, he has no in between. Like this is appropriate exaggeration. It's like dead on what it is, or it's just this. Like if he was going 70, he would say I was going 50,000 miles an hour. Like if he caught a fish this big, it would either be this big or he caught a blue whale. Okay, so there's no in between. Now, before they get interviewed, my mom knows this about my dad. And so they sit down ahead of time, and she gives him this talk. She goes, honey, we're going to be on the news. don't say anything dumb. Our friends, our family members, people are going to see this. Don't say anything stupid. And so they do the interview, and my dad was very, very good. He said everything appropriate. And then it got to almost the end of the interview, and the reporter's there, and she asked this really leading question. She goes, because the whole thing was just about too much information and how kids use it. And then she goes, and the scary thing about this stuff is that there are sex offenders and child predators who use this. And she kind of asked it as a leading question, like, so what should you as parents do? And I could tell from the question that what she wanted my parents to say was, we should be really careful about the information that we put on there. Because she's like, people use it, they use it for not good purposes, what should we as parents do? And it was obvious, because she wanted kids not to put so much information on it. So she asked the question, and then she looks at my parents, child predators, sex offenders use this, what should you as parents do? And my dad's sitting there, and he looks at her, and he goes, I think we should kill them all. And thank the Lord they did not put that on the news. My mom was like immediately like, no, we had the whole time. And it was good. And like, what should we do? I think we should kill them all. And the reporter's like, oh my gosh. So, today we are starting a new series called Flickering Pixels. And as part of the series, we're going to talk about media and technology and how it shapes and affects our lives. This, for me, this is not the bash technology and media series, okay? Because it could very easily drift into that. I want you to be aware. I want you to be very, very aware of how it affects your lives and the way that it changes you. Today we're going to talk about social media. If you're unfamiliar with social media, I want to give you a quick overview of this different methods of social media. I actually stole this from somebody's Facebook account, which was nice, for this morning. So basically this is how it functions. It's media that connects us, and these are the different ways you use it. If you were using Twitter, you would say, I'm eating a donut. This is all surrounded by a donut, or hashtag donuts. If you're using Facebook, you would say something like, I like donuts. If you're using Foursquare, you would say, this is where I eat donuts. If you're using Instagram, picture thing, here's a vintage photo of my donut. If you're using YouTube, watch me eat my donuts. If you're using LinkedIn, my skills include donut eating. If you're using Pinterest, here's a donut recipe. If you're using Last.fm, now listening to donuts. And my favorite, if you're using Google+, I'm a Google employee who eats donuts. Just out of curiosity, I want to get a feel on this. If you'll scan that list on the left real quick, I want to know how many you use, okay? So go ahead and get your number real fast, and then we're going to have a fun little survey, and whoever wins nothing, and we'll go on to the message. So there we go. Okay, so you got it? So out of curiosity, who uses, and keep your hands raised, who uses at least one of those? At least one. Just about everyone. There's a few without one. Dale? No? No? All right. Just out of curiosity. Tim Verdon? No social media? That's awesome. Look at you guys. Okay, who uses at least two? At least two. Keep your hands raised. Wow. Who uses at least three? I'm still in the three crowd. Oh, lots of hands dropped. Who uses at least four? Yeah, buddy, look at you guys go. Who uses at least five? Oh, my word. Who uses at least six? Hey, is Lori and Vicky here? How are their grades? they going well? Do either of you use seven? My word. Which one don't you use? For serious. Which one don't you use? Oh, you don't use Foursquare? Wow, that's amazing. I was afraid at the no answer that they couldn't count that high. What's a six? But anyway, so that's the broad overview of social media and how it works. This is what I want to talk about today. I don't want to talk about how you use it, because we could give you a brief tutorial and talk about how it works and talk about all the tools. I want to talk about how it changes and affects you. I love that slogan that they've got at the end. The things we make us, which I absolutely believe. I believe the work and effort I put out towards things changes the person that I am. But I think you could actually take that a little bit further in that statement. And that is, I believe the things that we use, not just the things that we make, but the things that we use, that they actually change us. They change the person that we are. The really easy example is my older sister, when she could first drive, we had a Mazda 323. They don't even make those anymore. But it had no power steering. And my older sister, Melanie, she is like tiny. Like if you blew on her hard enough, she would break, okay? Not just fall over, she would break. So she is tiny. And this car had no power steering. And so because of that, for the first couple weeks, when the car was still, because we had to pull out of our driveway and you had to turn it really sharp, she really struggled with that. Like, we're talking like both hands. You had to get some momentum going in order to turn the wheel because it's just tiny. And after a couple weeks, she started to develop some muscles. Now, like, her muscles were like itty-bitty muscles, but she had some muscles. And so she was excited about that. And it was so funny to listen to her talk. She's like, I can open jars now. And like, it's not a problem. And I can reach all the way up and pull stuff off the top shelf, and it doesn't come crashing down on me. It was like, she was great. And then after about a month of having that car, we got a car with power steering. And she went, I lost my muscles. I can't open jars anymore. And it was the things that she used in her life, they actually changed her. Now, that was physical. It also works mental. When I was a youth pastor, every week I would show the teens, I would show them like my favorite 3 or 4 YouTube videos that I'd seen that week. So I spent a lot of time on YouTube. I spent, could I say, an inappropriately long amount of time on YouTube. And YouTube was a whole bunch of short clips. And normally the clips that I would show them, they'd be like 30, 45 seconds. And I found something really strange started happening. Whenever I'd click on a page and the video was like 5, 6 minutes long, I was like, who's got 5 minutes? I'm not investing that much time. Now, before I started using YouTube, I was used to movies and 30-minute television programs. And so a 5-minute video would have been tiny. But over time, my brain got used to 30-second clips, and so my attention span shortened. That the things that I use actually changed how I was wired. And that's what I want to focus on today. I want to focus on not how do you use Twitter, how do you use Facebook, how do you use, we could say, email, the internet, and all these things that connect us. I want to talk about when you use those, how does it change the person that you are? And I don't mean more productive and more connected. I want to talk about how does it actually change not your physical or how you use your substance as a person, because it does something really, really important to the person that you are, and we're unaware of it. If you have your Bible, I would like for you to go to Exodus chapter 20. And it's funny that we're on this series because now more than ever I can say your Bible in paper or on your phone. Exodus chapter 20. But just to set us up real quickly, I want us to take a look at 2 commercials. And these commercials are going to show us, I think, pretty clear how media and how companies want us to view technology that connects us. So while you're going to Exodus 20, here's those 2 commercials. Okay, this is Exodus 20. And these are the 10 Commandments. So these should sound pretty familiar, whether you've read them or you've just seen them on a billboard on the highway. And I'm going to give you the order as we go because they don't correlate with the verse numbers. So here we go. And God spoke all these words. Here's the first one. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. Number 1, you shall have no other gods before me. 2, you shall not make for yourself an idol in the form of anything in heaven above or on the earth beneath or in the waters below. You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sin of the fathers to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who hate me, but showing love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments. 3, you shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not hold anyone guiltless who misuses his name. 4, remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you nor your son or daughter, nor your manservant or maidservant, nor your animals, nor the alien within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, but he rested on the 7th day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. 5, honor your father and mother, so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. 6, you shall not murder. 7, you shall not commit adultery. 8, you shall not steal. 9, you shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. And 10, you shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his manservant or maidservant, his ox or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. Something that does not matter to the message today, but I'm going to share it because I think it's funny. When I grew up, we grew up with the King James Version, and that's what we read in Sunday school. And so in this part, they used a different word for donkey. And I thought that was so funny, because it just said, you should not covet your neighbor's ox or his... And I laughed all day. And I was like, you shouldn't covet your neighbors. And when I was younger, that's still funny to me today. I think that's hilarious. Okay. If you pull that up, there you go. These are the 10 Commandments. These are the shortened form. No other gods. Do not make any idols. Do not misuse the name of God. Keep the Sabbath holy. Honor your father and mother. Do not murder. Do not commit adultery. Do not steal. Do not lie. Do not covet. What I want you to see is there is an order to these commandments. God did not just go, there's 10 things, and this. Remember them, please. He's got a priority to them. The first 4 have to do with our relationship with God. No other gods, do not make any idols, don't misuse the name of God, and keep the Sabbath holy. Sabbath holy is tied to the fact that God rested on the 7th day of creation. And its importance there is he's saying, first, you need to get your relationship with me right. We call that usually the vertical relationship. The final 5 have to do with our relationship with others, starting at number 6 of do not murder. And then the 5th commandment kind of serves as a bridge, because he says, honor your father and mother, and you'll live long in the land, and it's tied to his promise, okay? So the first 4 have completely to do with our relationship with God. The 5th one serves as a bridge, and it does both. And then the last 5 are completely our relationship with everyone else. This is the important thing, is if you're struggling, let's say you're struggling with all those. Could I say, hopefully not number 6 as much. You can just go around killing people, and that's your temptation. But let's say you're struggling with all of them. The importance there is let's say if it's coveting and you're just jealous, you don't focus on that. You focus on getting your relationship with God right. And then it goes down in terms of priority with that he says, your relationship with everyone else can't be right unless if you've got your relationship with me as a correct relationship and how I have it. So it is very important, the order of the commandments. I could say it like this. There's a priority to them. They all matter, but there is a priority. There's a sequence to them. And I want to focus in on that first one. First one says this in as the non-abbreviated form. It says, you shall have no other gods before me. The other way you could translate that is, you should have no other gods beside me. What he's saying there is incredibly important, because they lived in what's known as a polytheistic culture, which was they had many gods. And this is how a polytheistic culture worked. If I need rain, I pray to the rain god. If we need sun, I pray to the sun god. If we need children, I pray to the fertility god. And that's how it worked. When you needed something, you prayed to that individual god to grant your needs. And so when it rained, you worshiped the rain god. When there was sun, you worshiped the sun god. And that's how their life worked. And God's going, no. That's not how it's going to go. He goes, you should have no other gods beside me. I mean, that's just it. It's me. If you want to pray for something, you pray to me. If you want to worship something, you worship me. You don't go to anyone else. You don't go anywhere else. It's just me and you, and that's all you're focused on. And we go, why is that so important? And I think our first response is usually, well, because he's God. I mean, because we shouldn't worship anyone else because he's God, or we shouldn't pray to anyone else because he's God. And that's true, but it's only part of the answer. And so I want to answer today why, because you've got to see this. God is establishing an exclusive relationship with his people. He's not going, oh, these are all okay. He's saying it's just me and you. It's exclusive. Why is exclusivity so important to God? That of the 10 things that he would say that would stick with us today, and we see them, they're outside schools, and they're on billboards, and they're all over the place. Of the 10 things that we're going to stick with us today, why would establishing exclusivity be the most important to him? And for that, I want to go back just a little bit earlier. This is Exodus chapter 6. Exodus chapter 6. And to bring you up in terms of where we are, God came to the Israelites who are in slavery in Egypt, and he leads them out of slavery, and he says, I'm going to take you to the promised land, because it's land that he promised, and that's how they got the catchy name, the promised land. So I'm going to take you out, and I'm going to lead you there. Along that path, they stop at Mount Sinai, which was a mountain in the air, and he gives them the Ten Commandments. So when he gives them the Ten Commandments, he had already led them out of slavery. In Exodus 6, the Israelites are still in slavery. And so what God is speaking here, he is speaking through Moses, so we should really read this as the voice of God, is said to them in slavery. And this is what he says. Exodus chapter 6, starting with verse 6. It says, Therefore say to the Israelites, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the yoke of the Egyptians. I will free you from being slaves to them, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with mighty acts of judgment. I will take you as my own people, and I will be your God. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God, who brought you out from under the yoke of the Egyptians. And I will bring you to the land I swore with uplifted hand to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and Jacob, their ancestors. I will give it to you as a possession. I am the Lord. When God makes this statement, he makes 4 promises as part of what he was saying here to the Israelites. He says, I will bring you out, I will rescue you, I will redeem you, and I will take you to me. I will bring you out, I will rescue you, I will redeem you, and I will take you to me. These were not 4 random promises. He doesn't just go, hey, I'm going to do these nice things, and yeah, that'll be good. When they heard this, those 4 promises were very, very common. What would happen in that day is if you were a young Jewish man and you wanted to get married, first you would have to pay the dowry and work out all the arrangements, which I used to think that was a really, really stupid idea, the idea of a dowry when I was young and not married. And now that we're going to have 2 girls, I'm saying, bring the dowry back. I mean, that's what we want. And so you would have to pay a dowry. And then when you wanted to get married, you would have to make 4 promises to your future spouse. A young Jewish man would stand in front of his bride-to-be, and he said, I will bring you out, I will rescue you, I will redeem you, and I will take you to me. This is what's so significant, is he's saying, I will bring you out from your parents' house. And then in that day, women in that culture, and this is not just Bible, this is the entire world, women had no way of making money. They had no way of having finances or giving themselves a living. And so when your parents died, if you weren't married, you were left as a beggar. And that's about all you could do. And he says, no, I'm not just going to bring you out. I'm actually going to rescue you. And not just that in terms of I'm going to give you a food and shelter. I'm going to redeem you. I'm going to make you my spouse. I'm going to make you my wife. And then he would say, and I will take you to me. That it won't just be like a contractual agreement, that we're going to have a relationship. These 4 promises were incredibly significant. And so when God makes these 4 promises to the Israelites, their first response would not just be, oh, that's nice. Thanks. I like it. They would have gone, wait, is there a wedding? Because that's wedding language right there. Is there a wedding? And God would go, yeah, there's going to be a wedding. It's me and you. And we're going to establish that kind of a relationship, that it's just me and you. That this would be an exclusive relationship. Could I ask, what's the purpose, or what's the benefit, or what's success in marriage? And I think we title it as a whole bunch of different things. Sometimes we put it as, well, we don't yell. Yay! We don't fight that much, so our marriage must be doing good. Or nobody's thrown anything at each other, so that's success. Oh. And it's sometimes we paint it as different things. I think the best one that we paint it as a society, in terms of a positive way, is when somebody's been married for 50 or 60 or maybe even longer than that. that many years. And we go, that's amazing that they were able to live together that long and stand each other that long. But that's not real success. Success in that relationship is intimacy. Success in that relationship is that you know that other person. And so when God is speaking here in wedding language, it's not just exclusivity, but it's intimacy that he's looking for from his people. I want to fast forward a little bit. After a Jewish man would make that promise to his bride-to-be, they would go through a typical courting process and some things that we don't do today, but they would eventually get to the wedding. And their wedding would look very, very similar to ours, except for one thing that was different, and it's called the huppah. It is spelled C-H-U-P-P-A-H, but it is pronounced huppah. A huppah is basically 4 sticks or 4 rods in the ground with some sort of blanket or sheet on top of it. I've got 2 other pictures for you to look at. I don't know why most of the pictures I could find are on the beach. I think it's just to make us jealous. And there's the other one, if we'll just leave that up there. When you would get married, in their culture, in their custom, the groom-to-be would stand out the very front and he would wait for his bride, and his bride would come down the aisle. And when she came down the aisle, they would turn and they would walk up and they would stand underneath that. And here's the important thing, is that there was only room for the 2 of them underneath that. That as all their friends and family members gathered and everybody who cared about them, and the groomsmen, and the best man, and the maid of honor, and all the bridesmaids, and the parents, and the grandparents, and the school teacher from 3rd grade, and the neighbor who didn't like him, and everybody in their life gathered, the 2 of them would stand under the huppah. And there wasn't room for the best man, or the maid of honor, or the parents or the grandparents, and everyone else who they interacted with in their life. There was only room for the 2 of them. This is why that's so significant, is that would stand as a metaphor for their entire relationship. Because there are certain things, and I just want to clear this up to make sure that we're on the right page. I am talking so much more than sex. There were certain things in that relationship that could only happen between the 2 of them. There were certain conversations that could only happen between the 2 of them. There were certain fights and disagreements and all those little things that make a couple a couple. All those conversations that before you're married, you don't realize you have to have. The conversation that goes like, do we squeeze the toothpaste from the top? Or do we squeeze it from the bottom? Do we put the toilet paper roll over top or underneath? Or like we do it, forget it, just put it on the back of the toilet, and that's much easier. I mean, it's all those conversations that make a couple a couple. And here's the thing is, other people don't get to participate in those. Men, could I just get a nod of the head? Certain people try to participate in this, right? And that's incredibly frustrating, because there's only room for the 2 of them. And that's how intimacy happens, through that exclusive relationship. There was a TV show on, I can't even remember how long ago it was. It was called Newlyweds. Did anybody watch Newlyweds? Could I? Yes, thank you. If you're unfamiliar, Nick Lachey, who was a boy band singer and from Cincinnati, married Jessica Simpson, who was a pop star. And when they got married, somebody had this great idea. I think it was her father, who used to be a pastor. Somebody had this great idea of, hey, when they get married, what if we just follow them around with cameras all day and record everything that they do? And went, yeah, that's great. We could make lots of money. We don't have lots of talent, so let's cash in now. And so they did that, and I've got to tell you, it was fascinating. Like, it was amazing television. They were just like normal. And you got to hear all these conversations that they had. And you heard all those things of like toothpaste from top or bottom, toilet paper roll, where's it go? The best part of the entire show, the one that made them famous, is one day they were sitting down for dinner. And she's eating tuna. Some of you know where I'm going. And she's eating tuna. And she looks at her husband and she says, is tuna chicken or fish? And he went, what? Like that. He said what, but he said, please don't tell me you're that dumb and I married you. And he said, what? And she goes, well, I thought it was fish, but it says chicken of the sea. It was amazing. And you got to take it. And here's the thing, is their relationship was actually pretty good. Like, they weren't crazy. Like, they had fights like everyone else, but like, nobody beat each other up. Like, it was actually a pretty normal relationship. And then, I don't know how long, it was a year and a half, 2 years into it, they got divorced. Surprise. And we go, how did that happen? And the answer's simple. There were too many people under the hoopah. And intimacy cannot happen if it's not exclusive. Marriage is when you say, there's 6 billion people on the earth, and I choose you and no one else. Which is funny, because as that happens and as that intimacy builds, you learn good things. You learn bad things. And it was a couple years ago that I realized that Bethany knows what annoys me more than anyone else in the world. And sometimes she uses it for evil, not for fun. And when she does those things, just to bother me, she will look at me and she will go, you chose me. And when I'm smart, I say, I know. And when I'm dumb, 90% of the time, I go, I know. But that's it. It's you chose me. Intimacy happens when you're invited out of the crowd and into the VIP room of someone else's life. I mean, you know it as a kid when somebody comes up to you and they go, I've got a secret. Like, it doesn't matter what in the world is happening. You're going, oh, tell me. Because this isn't for everyone. This is just for us. And that's exciting. That's how intimacy occurs. And that's what God is establishing in Exodus 20. He's saying, you should have no other gods besides me. It's just me. And he's going, it's exclusive. And it's exclusive because that's the only way that it will be intimate. If it's not exclusive, it can't be intimate, and I want it to be intimate. I want you to know me, and I want to know you. And so there can be no other gods. And that's the standard of success in our relationships. Not longevity, not fighting. Intimacy is the standard of success. So what's that have to do with technology and media and everything going on? And the answer is absolutely everything. This is what we're told. We're told, oh, I don't have my phone. I don't know where it is. We're told that if you have your phone in your hand, you can be connected to anyone, anywhere. Shirley, will you bring my picture up? I drew that. Isn't that nice? Someday I may give this preaching gig up. I think I've got a bright future. We're told with your phone in your hand, you can access anyone everywhere. You can access other people on phones, people in the next state, people in the next county, people halfway across the world. You can get news. You can get sports scores. You can watch anything you want. And we're told, if you just have that one device, you can get a hold of anyone, anywhere. You are completely available. But this is what they never tell you. That while you're talking to the person halfway across the world, you're not talking to the people who are right next to you. And that's what the commercials never show. They always go, you can access everything, but they never show you the people who you're leaving behind. And what happens at the end of the day is, if you use those devices, I want to say if you use them at all, and there's a balance there, but especially if you use them to the extreme, you make a trade. In the first part of the trade, they tell you that technology takes those who are further away and it brings them closer. Technology takes people who are halfway across the world and they bring them right next to you. But they never tell you the second part. And that's technology takes those who are close and it pushes them further away. Because you can't be talking to both people at the same time. And so on the one side, it's great. Because anyone everywhere, the distant college friend, the person who you grew up with, the brother-in-law, whoever, yeah, you can talk to them at any time. But they never tell you that it takes those who are close and it pushes them further away. I'm going to give you 2 examples to illustrate this. The first one was a couple months ago. Me and Bethany, we sat down at Burger King, and we were there for like an hour. And while we were there, for just about 10 minutes, 2 high school boys who I had known walked in. And so we said hi, and they went, and they sat down, and they do what just about every high school boy does when you sit down. And they both pulled out their phones. And they sat there for 40 minutes, and they did not say one word to each other. And you've got to understand, like, I was not just watching, like I was watching them. Like I'm eating my sandwich, like. And I'm like, they still haven't talked. It's amazing. And for 40 minutes, they did not say one word to each other. I neglect the fact that I probably didn't say a word to my wife that entire 40 minutes as well, which is important. But they didn't say a word. And they would probably tell all their friends that they had lunch together. But they did not. They had lunch in the same vicinity of each other, but they did not have lunch together. And what happens? An opportunity for intimacy to strengthen a relationship was lost. An opportunity for intimacy was lost. Now, to be really honest, I don't think they care. Like, I think if I sat down with them and you guys realize an opportunity for intimacy is lost, they would go away, weird man, okay? Because I don't think they care. But here's the thing, how many times has that happened to you? How many times have you sat down, whether it's a dinner table with a group of people, or you sat down with your family, and you're ready to have a conversation, and everybody is sitting there like this? And you do one of two things. You either say, forget it, and you pull your phone, iPad, whatever it is out, and you join them, or you actually try to have that conversation. And it goes like, so how was your day? Good. Well, did anything interesting happen? Nope. Well, I want to tell you a story. I can hear you. And we know those opportunities, those things that would automatically, that time spent together that would automatically strengthen our relationships is lost. Second example I want to give you, and no matter how hard you push me and press me and torture me, I will not divulge names. A couple of weeks ago, I saw a post from a lady on Facebook, and this was one of the posts that was praising their spouse, which is always really interesting to me. And we've seen these, right? I married the best person in the world, I love them, they're incredible, blah, 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 blah. I mean, okay, we're all familiar. If you ever look at those posts, they always have like 20 likes, which are all ladies, and then there's like 15 sarcastic comments, which are all men, which I absolutely love. I am one of the contributors to the sarcastic comments, always like, what did he do, blah, blah. And so I saw this lady, and she posted this really nice thing about her husband, and blah, but whatever. And so a couple days later, I was walking in the store, and I passed her husband. And so I just kind of, hey, how are you? And I said, what did you do? And he went, what? What did you do that made your wife sing your praises on Facebook? And he hadn't seen it. He hadn't seen it. This is why that's so important. She told everyone how great her husband was, except for the one person who she should have told. Everyone in the world saw that, except for the one person who she should have told. And there's sometimes that I get on, and if I could just say it like this, like, you want to post pictures of your kids? That's great. Your kids are cute. You want to post pictures of your kids eating Jell-O? I mean, whatever. I like Jell-O. I like your kids. I'll look at them. But then sometimes I see things, and I'll see like a picture, and I haven't seen this recently, so I feel safe saying this without condemning anyone. I'll see a picture of like a family cuddling in bed. And I just think, I shouldn't see this. I mean, this is not for me. It's cute, don't get me wrong. But this is for you. This is your guys' intimate moment. And then sometimes I'll see other comments on conversations and things that go on, and I just think, that's not for me to see. I mean, that's intimate, that's personal. I don't know you well enough for us to share those things together. And what I feel like is happening is I'm being invited into the most intimate space in someone's life when I have no business being there. And I think it's not sacred. It's not exclusive. And because of that, it can't be intimate if you're sharing with everyone. If I could explain just real quickly, this is why we do small groups, how we do at Crosspoint. If you're unfamiliar with it, basically, we want to get 6 to 8 couples, and we want to get them sitting around a circle every week. And you spend time, and you hang out, and you talk about the message, and you go home. Most groups usually come up to me, and they go, hey, we've been having our small group, but I just want you to know, we spend like 5 minutes on the message. I don't care, whatever. Like, I'm not monitoring it. That's fine. Hang out, have fun, eat lots of food. But the reason why we do it that way is because we want people to be able to connect and spend time together week after week after week after week. How most churches do small groups is they'll just be this big list of all the small groups, and they go, anybody who wants to come, just come. And it's really hard for us, but we don't do it that way. We like to have what we call closed groups. That we get you in a group, and then we don't keep adding people. And that's caused lots of frustration at times. It's, well, I wanted to come, but no one's invited me. Like, no one's going to invite you probably because we don't keep adding people. And this is why. Is because if it's not exclusive, it can't be intimate. And if there's constantly a new face and a new person, I'm not saying you're bad, okay? I'm not saying you're not incredibly nice and pleasant and wonderful. The issue is that if it's constantly new and different, it can't be intimate. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to give you relationships and friendships that will last forever. Not, I knew those nice people one time, and we had that one night that was funny, forever. People that will last and be with you for the duration of your entire life. And if something goes wrong or if something great happens, you're not just going, post on Facebook. You're calling them up. You're going, can you believe this? Or you're going, help me through this. Because that relation is significant. I'd say that's been really hard to establish, and we constantly work at that. When I was a youth pastor, I always asked the teens this over and over again because we did a similar thing. I would say, do you want 100 friends, 100 acquaintances, people who you kind of hang out with and know, or do you want 10 close friends who you could share everything with? And to a T, every person said 10 close friends. And that's what we want to try to do here. So with all that said, you can draw your own conclusions on what to do with this. You're smart. I'm not going to, the teens have been doing a series on technology and media, and they've done some cool things. Some of them have given up Facebook for a week. Last week I was with the senior high guys that Brian Menke led that group, and they all deleted their Twitter app. And it was funny because some of them did it with trembling hands. And they're like, yeah, delete the app. Let's go. Delete it. Delete it. And it was kind of like testosterone all over the place about deleting our Twitter apps, which was funny. But a lot of people have done stuff like that, and that was cool. And you know what? That's for you to decide how much you're going to make that trade. I'm not saying those things are bad. I'm saying be very aware of what's happening. But I want to encourage you with one thing. No matter how you're feeling about it, I want to encourage you with one thing. I used to listen to, when he was still on, a political correspondent. His name was Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson was extremely conservative in his views. I liked him because he wore a bow tie when he was the only one who wore a bow tie, and I just thought that was neat. Like, he wears a bow tie. He's so dumb, but look at him. He's wearing a bow tie. And so he was extremely conservative in his views. And he talked on his show one day, he had another guy on with him, that he had an opportunity to meet Bill Clinton. You got to understand, during the duration of Clinton's presidency, Carlson just ripped him apart on his policies and everything that he did. I mean, just ripped him apart. And he got an opportunity to meet Bill Clinton, and the guy, guess who was on a show, said, so what'd you think? And Carlson's response was, you know, I liked him. I really did. I liked the guy. And his guest goes, how could you say that? After you've done this for so long and you've just badmouthed him, how could you say you like him? And he goes, you know, when I sat down with him, he made me feel like I was the only one in the room. I mean, his attention wasn't all over the place. I'm sure he had 100 things to do, but he was focused right on me. And so I want to encourage you with this. If you're going to be in the room with somebody, be in the room with them. Don't just be physically present. Actually be there. If you're going to sit down with your family for dinner, if you have to take a phone call, get up, walk into the other room, because that's where you are anyway, take the phone call, and come back to that room. And the funny thing on this, and this is to be really personal on this, when me and Bethany got married, One of the things that we were committing to in our entire lives was we got married, that our marriage bed, which the Bible speaks a lot about, was just us. You know what's happened? Is it's me, her, and 700 of our closest friends. And those conversations that maybe at one point in time were, how was your day, what's going on, how did things go, quickly turns into, did you see what so-and-so posted? Did you see this person's picture? And what happens is we're inviting people into a part that is meant to be exclusive. And it can't be intimate if it's not exclusive. And that's what I want you to understand today. Technology takes those who are further away and brings them closer. But at the exact same time, it takes those who are close and pushes them further away. So be very, very careful and very, very mindful of how media and technology are affecting and shaping your life. Let's pray. Lord, my hope is just this. I hope that we could have strong relationships. I hope that we could have relationships that were exciting, that were incredible, that were fulfilling, that nourished us. I hope that our relationships with our spouses and our family members and our close friends would not become second-tier things to the internet and to whatever somebody posted or tweeted, but that we would see those as important. And Lord, just that we would make wise decisions on how to use these tools in our life. And Lord, most of all, I just ask that, man, when we're there with somebody, let us be there. Let us be fully present. Let us resist the temptation to check our pocket every single time our phone buzzes. Let us be there. And Lord, at the end of the day, we trust that when we do this, we'll conduct our relationships in a way that honor you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.